What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports final countdown show, hardwood show. I don't know which one it is. We're at a different time. We are at 5:15 right now. It's me, Mangone. I'm here with Titletown. I'm here with the like button and subscribe button. So hit that now. Titletown, how's it going over there on this Sunday for you?
Yeah, it's going good. Not too much with no NFL going on. I didn't get in the NASCAR streets today, but I'm going to start hopping in the streets. I've seen it's been going good. I got into it a lot over the summer during the pandemic and stuff. So I'm going to start hopping back in there on Sundays with no NFL during the day, but sweating out a little golf and NBA. We have a nice 7-game slate. Better than usually it's been 5 games and stuff when the NBA or NFL was going on. Now we get a full 7-game slate, a lot of late news, a lot of stuff to monitor. So I'm excited to break it all down.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I don't have it up right now. The tweet deck, right? I always pull the tweet deck up to look at all the injury news when things pop up. So I'll pull that up now on the other screen. Good to always catch that news. That's been a big thing that you and I actually talked about today a little bit, but you also talked about NASCAR, which the NASCAR is going great. I see people are crushing it over there. One of Rubio Dime's buddies who joined the site earlier, this week or last week, I forget when it was, but he had a nice little NASCAR hit, right? I noticed that from the trucks, I think it was. And golf is in full swing. I see Sharkman. I'm trying to catch up to him in this FanDuel contest. So he's up in 3rd place in the Monster. I'm trying to make my way, but I probably won't end up getting there because I didn't play Mr. Sam Burns. But that's okay. All around, it's a good time over here at Run Pure Sports. If you haven't gotten over to Run Pure Sports, all you got to do is head on over there and use the promo code WORKBENCH21. That gets you 25% off your first payment. So, that's awesome content over here. You get it 7 days a week, right? One thing I think that's great about our product is I think that a lot of the product is the similar on Sunday as it is on Monday, right? Sometimes around the industry, I feel like you're getting a little bit of different stuff, but you have access to BigT and JSU. If you may not get those guys on this show right now, but you can easily talk to them in the Discord chat, right? They're there hanging out, having a good time. You were in there talking MMA and hanging out with BigT all last night, right?
Yep. Yeah. Discord's always popping. Wasn't the best MMA night yesterday, that's for sure. Had one of my worst nights in a while, but always going to be in Discord with the people, cheering stuff on. BigT had a good night in the NBA chat a little while talking. Phalix always in there answering questions and stuff. Discord's popping 24/7. If you're not in there, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, and I've been in there lately trying to lay down the law on the tilters, but we're doing better. AP said it today. We've been doing a little better, so trying to improve upon that. And we did get some news, right? You talked about at the top of the show. Kyle Lowry is out. What was your expectation going into this slate with Lowry?
Yeah, so I was waiting on that news. I didn't have too much of a lean. I was hoping we'd get it. I'm glad we did get it. Well, we knew we were going to get it. We just didn't know when. Glad we got it on the show that we can talk about it. Now Siakam, Van Vliet, all get big boosts for sure. One of the better spots on the slate. So I didn't know what to expect, though. I knew we'd get the news. Glad we got it this early. Lately, some of the coaches have been bad about not doing the 30 minutes up until tip-off. I know that was a big thing the NBA wanted to get right, was all lineups in 30 minutes before, start finding people and stuff. But obviously, it doesn't look like that's happened. But glad we got the news.
Are you referring to Curry last night? Because I think something was up beforehand. Like, I don't think that I think it was something because he warmed up and did everything. And I saw some people on Twitter saying it's classic NBA. And I think it's just that was something that it just varies. It kind of happened.
No, I'm not talking about just that. I just mean sometimes you see starting lineups like 10 minutes before the game instead of the 30 or stuff like later than, because last year they made a really big point that they were going to start finding coaches or organizations if lineups and injuries weren't out 30 minutes before tip. And it just seems like it's gotten worse this year. That's the only thing. Curry, yeah, I mean, I expected that he was going to play. I think he thought he was going to play and something came up. So wasn't referring to that.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know because I know that there was a lot. I saw some chatter about that on Twitter, and it happens, right? Like, there's nothing you can do. It's the variance of it, but it is what it is. Let's dive in. Let's talk about this slate. Excited to hang with the people and basically discuss the NBA slate with you because I've been looking to it a bit, and I've been talking like with Big T, and like he's been saying he's been proud of me in the GPP streets. I'm trying to start shipping some stuff, right? I've been trying to dial it all in and figure it out, and I feel like I'm close, Titletown. So we'll try and get there together right now. Let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And there's a lot to talk about in this game. The problem with OKC is prices have gone up, right? This is one of those situations where we played them for 3 weeks, and now it's, I think, time to be off of them. And as they've all kind of joined into the lineup, even though they get a Cleveland team that struggles defensively, maybe I'm wrong. They have a pretty big team total. I think it's like 111 points here. And then on the opposite side, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're missing some bodies. And the prices you can make an argument for against the Thunder team that you're not that scared of them defensively. Guys like Darius Garland at 5'6" is a really good option. Jared Allen is going to be one of the chalkier plays today, I think, over on DraftKings at the center position. So there's some pieces to talk about in this game, Titletown. Break it down for me.
Yeah, so I like the Cleveland side more, like you said. Darius Garland's too cheap on DraftKings. He's only 5,600. 5,900 on FanDuel, still good too. Jared Allen, like you said, he's good on both sites. He's center on both sites, but FanDuel you only can play one, so I do expect him to be lower owned since there's Jokic on the slate, and there's other good plays. And then there's JaVale McGee. I already mentioned he's 3,600 on FanDuel. He is 3,800 on DraftKings. I like him a little more on FanDuel because he's power forward eligible instead of center, but he's another good play. Those are my three favorites on Cleveland side. On OKC, Shea, I like him. I like him a little more on FanDuel where he's shooting guard eligible. Shooting guard isn't the best today. He's 7,800. Good matchup with the Cavs. So I like him. And then Horford if you need to, but center is absolutely loaded today. And I think it's a 2-center night for me. And I don't think Horford's going to crack that build, but I think he makes for a good GPP play because I think he does get overlooked a little bit.
Yeah, I'm torn on what to do with the center position tonight because, I mean, you say it's a 2-center night. Jared Allen seems like he's one of them. I'm curious to hear maybe another guy that you're looking at is like, I don't think you can get up to a Jokic as much today, right? I think he's going to be a center that gets overlooked on a 2-center kind of night. So let's say you do like the 2-center route. I think Jokic is going to be a guy that maybe gets underlooked. And I think you could fade a Jared Allen today and go to a Jokic, right? I think that's a way that you can get a little bit different. And I get it. Allen is a scary fade. I'm not saying you should do that. But if you decide to do that, it's easier to eat some chalk, right? It's easier to then plug in the Dennis Smith Juniors and all those other guys. That could be a little bit scary, but there are good value plays. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's probably not clear cut, like 2-center builds the only way to go. I like that. I lean that right now. I know Brook Lopez is really cheap too. If you need a filler, he's getting the minutes, solid matchup. He's cheap. I think he's like 4,300. I love Jokic today in this spot. I like Jared Allen a lot. So, but there is other routes. I mean, don't force in a 2-center build if it doesn't work. So maybe I was a little too bullish on that. I still like the center position a lot. Jared Allen and Jokic are two of my favorite plays on it though.
No, I mean, we'll talk about that when we get to that Bucks game. And hey, I heard Hoop say it the other day, like it was one of the first slates you weren't on when the Bucks were on, but we got you back for a Bucks slate, Titletown. You can't miss out on your Bucks. Any final thoughts here? I mean, the one last guy I'll mention is like, I saw some Dylan Windler chatter from guys like K Falik and AP in the Discord chat. And like, I understand it. Like I've definitely dabbled in him when they've been in this situation. And the one game like that he basically sat out, I was consider playing him as like a cheaper option when they were shorthanded, and they still are shorthanded, but a lot of the prices have adjusted, but Windler's has not adjusted yet because he was out that one game and they didn't have a great game the next one. I do think that there is some opportunity for him that he has not capitalized on yet at that price. What do you think?
Yeah, so he's not someone I really have looked at, probably because I play cash games normally. I don't dabble too much in the tourney streets. He's not a cash player or cash play for sure. Falik, I know I've seen him mention Windler's name multiple times, though. I've seen him play a little bit. He has some upside, I think. He's a decent player. That's the value on this slate. It's not like we have one spot where there's like 9 guys or 8 guys available on one team that we're just going to load all that one team in there like some slates have been. So the value is a little harder today. 3,700. It makes sense as a low on play, but I'm not on them. I'm not going to have any of them.
Yeah, no, that makes some sense. I'm just like, I'm thinking through the game theory on it. And like, if you're trying to get a different path, I could see it. And like I said, I thought about getting to him before. And I seeing those two guys who are tournament guys on it made me kind of think about it again. So wanted to ask you that. It definitely seems like more of a DK play than a FanDuel play. Definitely want to mention that. That's always important when looking at
any play that Falik and AP are on is a good GPP play for sure. Two of the better tourney players that are out there. So they like them. Yeah, great tourney play. Don't do it in cash, though.
Oh, yeah, agree on that. Let's head on over to the next game. Let's talk Pistons. Let's talk Magic. 211 total. We got Al-Farouq Amino is starting, but the key is he's on a minutes limit, right? And he's someone that you could have considered as an interesting value play here. They probably need his kind of wingspan to guard a guy like a Jeremy Grant. Like that would make some sense. But what are you doing here with this game, Titletown? 211 total. Talk about the Magic side first.
Yeah, so for the Magic side, Michael Carter-Williams sticks out the most on FanDuel. He's only 4,500. I'm going to say the same thing I say every time I talk about Michael Carter-Williams. He's good. He's cash game playable. He's cheap. He's starting. He's in a good spot. But I just don't play this guy in tournaments because I don't think he's very good. He's going to have way too high of ownership where I like getting off the field. I don't love his ceiling. He can get there with steals and blocks and occasionally with just his minutes, but he's always a GPP fade for me. And it's been working out because he's busted in chalk spots a lot. But 4,500, yes, he's going to have ownership. Better play on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I don't have any interest at 5,500. As far as the other guys on the Magic, I don't have too much interest. You can go Vooch anytime, but there's just other spend ups. Like I'd rather Jokic. I'd rather Jokic for sure. On FanDuel, though, Vooch is 9,700. He's going to be like 5% owned or something because people are going to go Jokic or Allen. And Vooch has been really good this year. So it does intrigue me a lot in tournaments at very low ownership. Other than that, no one on that side of the ball. On Detroit, I like Dennis Smith Jr., obviously. DraftKings, he's going to be one of the most popular plays. DeLon Wright's out. He should get the start. And he's a good player. We've seen what he does in the past. Good point per minute guy. So I like him a lot. Hard to get away. FanDuel, he's still a good play at 4,600, but he's not as a must like he is in cash games on DraftKings. Jeremy Grant, I still like. So he's only 76 on DraftKings, 76 on FanDuel, too, power forward eligible. He just has a big role on this team. Tons of minutes, a lot of usage. Feels like a very safe play. Other than that, I don't have too much interest in this game, though. Like Wayne Ellington, if you needed a punt, but there's other places I'd rather go. I assume AP and Phallic like Windler over someone like Ellington. So I guess I'd go Windler in tournaments too. But it's Grant, it's MCW on FanDuel, and it's Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned Wayne Ellington because I don't know if I haven't rostered him that much, but he's like a guy I've definitely dabbled in, like considering way too much than you would think this year. And I guess it's because I like the way he fits on this team. Like, I think he makes a ton of sense to be like playing in this lineup, right? You want like you have all these young guys, you want the veteran type guy, to kind of help them, keep them in check. Also, like he fits well with like a guy like a Plumlee and a Grant, not a high usage kind of player. So I don't mind him here at 3.4K. I think if he's going to be able to get the shots up, they just have to fall in, right? He's 3.4K. He doesn't have to do that much. And I think in this matchup, he can get those shots off, right? I don't expect them to be like having someone that's just like chasing Wayne Ellington around the court. I think from all the numbers I've looked at, it looks like that this could be a decent Wayne Ellington spot. So I think he is an intriguing option. I like the Grant call. I think Grant is definitely someone to consider. My only worry that I have with him, and I'm still going back and forth, it's like I want to play Jeremy Grant at this price in spots when he's playing like the Warriors, right? Like the faster paced teams. Like I don't love it against a team like the Magic. One thing I looked at, and I was just kind of looking at price tags, do I want to play Jeremy Grant at 7.6, or would I rather just try to find $2,000 to get up to Kawhi Leonard against Brooklyn? I think I want to find the $2,000 to get up to Kawhi, and I get it's not that simple and easy.
So that's a lot. That's a lot of 2,000's a lot. But
of course, but I was looking at projections, right? And there was like a 7-point gap I saw on one site, and I was like, that feels like it should be bigger, right? Like I just did not understand that because I was like, Grant pops is the better value there, but I don't know if I agree with that. That's something that just kind of stuck out to me that I thought was interesting. I was like, let me just try and find a way maybe to get up to Kawhi. So that was something I was looking at when it comes to a guy like Grant. I don't know if I want to play Plumlee at 7K. I think it's the wrong slate, wrong price, wrong matchup. So I'll probably stay away from that. I understand he is upside, but I don't love it here. That would be someone I'd stay away from. Then Vucevic's another guy like 10-3. It's like you can make a case for him in this kind of role that he's been in. But the problem is he was 8-9 when we were rostering him in a better role, and now he's at 10-3 in a role that's not particularly as great. So I'm not super excited about him. Final? What were you saying?
I lean him on FanDuel where he's 9-7, and okay. you only can play one center. And I think people are either going to go Jokic or they're going to go Allen, or I think Vooch just goes. Yeah, even on DraftKings, if you look at it, I think he's going to be like 5% owned. And we've seen Vooch blow up games where it feels like it could be one of those nights where Vooch is unplayed, and I mean you're just betting on the talent at that point.
Yeah, I guess my thought process on it is if I am going up at center, And I guess on FanDuel, it's obviously different because FanDuel, I think Jokic would pop more for sure, but I don't think Jokic is popping that much on DK specifically today, where I think that if I do go up, I'm getting Jokic at a low enough ownership where I just would rather go him. But I totally understand it, right? If someone loves Vucevic today, like I wouldn't talk him off it, right? I just think that'd be my preferred route when thinking through kind of constructing teams. But yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for that game. And two games that we've talked about. Not the greatest set of games, but we're getting to some better ones here shortly, and some there have some news. If you guys haven't checked out all the stuff we have over at Run Pure Sports, do that right now, right? There's so much awesome content that you guys got to check out. We have a free podcast that we do 5 days a week. You'll see that Monday through Friday. So check that out over on the any stream that you can find, right? Spotify, Apple, iHeart, all of them. Anywhere you want to look for it, you can find it. So check out that. That's a free thing. You can check out the free shows that we have over here on YouTube every single day. Basically 7 days a week. We go live. We do the Hardwood Show. Get BigT, JSU, AP, Hoop. So many awesome people contributing here. So check that out. And then we got the Final Countdown show, right? I don't know if you watch that much, but with JSU and Holden, and they lead you up to lock. And sometimes Big T hops on there and, gets the good mojo going and talks about the winners with everyone and talks about kind of how he's handling the slate. And he hasn't done that just on days and then he loses that day, right? He has done that on days where he's shit. So you are getting some of the best of the best. Titletown, what do you think of all the content here?
Yeah, so we have the Hardwood shows that we do on free for YouTube, as you guys all know, Monday through Friday. Or Monday through Sunday, because we're doing it right now. And then JSU up to lock. That's on the weekdays. That's one of the biggest shows that's very important for subscribers, because you're in Discord talking. You get to hear JSU. He breaks it all down. And it's more important now than ever with all the late news that going on this year, backloading, not backloading, just having different routes. If this happens, if that happens. I mean, being in Discord and watching that up to lock show is very, very crucial. I also just saw we got some news, kind of expected. Dennis Smith is starting, confirmed for right. So kind of what we expected, but he's going to be massive chalk.
Yeah, and speaking of Dennis Smith, we got AP in the chat giving Patrick Rice some crap. He said DSJ headed to the locker room, and then AP said, come on, Patrick, no bad mojo. And I do want to speak on some of the good and bad mojo, right? Like we've been saying, the Discord chat, the tilt has been getting better. I'm all for tilt, right? Like, I just want to let you know, I'm all for the tilt, but let it be after lock, right? Like, let it be when not at 8:55 when we're trying to figure out, are we playing Whiteside or Brook Lopez, and what are the minutes going to be? And obviously that's probably Whiteside, right? But you get what I'm basically presenting. Like, let's pick your time to tilt, right? Like, tilt it at 10 o'clock when everything's over, but you wanted to keep fighting, right, Tyler? You want to keep believing in your teams and try to get yourself across the finish line and get that good mojo going, right?
See, I'm a little different in the fact, I never tilt. I mean, I focus and I treat it as like a job, and part of gambling and DFS and playing with an edge is you're going to lose. Like, if you win 60% of the time, you're rich. I mean, you're going to make a lot of money in this, and you're going to lose 40% of the time. The best players do, or whatever the numbers is. Like, it happens. Every day is different. All the variants. Sometimes you get good bounces. Sometimes you get bad bounces. Tilting just, I don't know, it'll drive you crazy in the long run. So that's me, but I know some people do tilt. But if you are going to tilt, yes, don't do it in the first 5 minutes when one guy has 0 points and then he comes in, he scores 55 with the fire emoji. Like, if you're going to tilt, make sure the game's over toward the end where it just doesn't change.
Oh, for sure. We got Uncle T in the chat. We got Steve Anthony in the chat. And Steve Anthony says, I'm dying because I talked about Parker earlier in the week because I said he'd start getting some minutes, and he finally did. He said, if Barnes is out, Jabari Parker 10X night. What's better than a Jabari Parker revenge game that we got against the Bulls? We'll get a back-to-back revenge game, right? He gets to go up against the Bucks now. So funny how that works. We'll talk about him when we get there. But
there was 20 minutes guaranteed. I would be all over Jabari in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta pick the slates, right? Like, I was considering it on 2-gamer because I was like, this dude will literally not be owned, right? Like,
yeah, not a 7-gamer.
I don't know if I could do it. I would need absolute full go from Luke Walton. I don't even trust a full go from Luke Walton. That is the problem. Let's go on and talk about the next game. We got the Sixers and we have the Toronto Raptors. We have a 222 total, and this is definitely a game worth talking about. So we did get some news on this. We have Ben Simmons will play. We have Shake Milton on a minutes limit. And I'm going back and forth on how to attack this game because I have been all about the Toronto Raptors, right? It's been a fun ride lately. I've backloaded for them a little bit too. It's definitely been good playing Toronto against your Bucks. But I'm torn because some of the prices have gone up, right? Siakam, it's a little pricier, but the matchup's really tough too, right? And Embiid, 7-9. He was 7-6 before, but this matchup is a very difficult one. Fred VanVleet, 8.2K, a lot of usage being funneled to him. Is he going to have Ben Simmons on him? I don't know exactly how they're going to approach that, but either way, I don't know if I need Fred VanVleet because of some of the other guys that we have on this slate. I just don't see myself falling on him as much. Norman Powell's another guy. He hasn't been popping in the models, right? But he has been incredible, and he has been absolutely crushing it, and he makes some sense here. I could see him being someone that he's not afraid to shoot. Wouldn't mind going to him. And then you got Bembry, right? 3.5K. He's been a value that people have gone to, but I just don't think I need him as a value play today. So talk about this Raptors side because it makes sense to go back to the well on some of them because of how condensed their minutes are, but they're not popping in all the projections, and people aren't talking about them around the industry because the matchup is difficult.
Yeah, so the matchup definitely is difficult. I'm still buying in. Well, I will say on FanDuel, Siakam's all the way up at 8.9K. Like I can't pay that at 8.9K on FanDuel today. That is too much for me. In tournaments, if you think he blows up, sure, but that's too much for me. So besides him, I have interest in VanVleet on both sites, and I have interest in Siakam on DraftKings, where he's only 7.9K. It is a tough matchup, but it's supposed to be a close game. It's a 3-point spread. It's a 222.5 total, so nothing crazy, but it's solid. You're expecting 35 plus minutes in a close game from these guys. I think VanVleet and Siakam go a little lower owned, like you said, because their prices came up a little bit, but I think this is another really, really good spot for them just because the minutes, the usage, the close game, just the game environment in general. I think the stars come out and play. So I like VanVleet. He's my favorite. I always lean VanVleet over Siakam and Kyle Lowry when the prices are pretty close. Today they're pretty close. FanDuel, he's way cheaper. So I have interest in, or I would rank them VanVleet, Siakam. Other than that, though, the prices are too up on like Boucher's 5.9K. I don't love this spot against him. If he has to go against Embiid, foul trouble could definitely happen. Norman Powell, 6.9K. Like I love Norman Powell, don't get me wrong, but I'm not paying 6.9K for him. So it's only Siakam and VanVleet for me. And I don't have any interest in the Philly side except Seth Curry on FanDuel at 4K if he needed as a last piece because shooting guard's bad. But prices are good in this game.
So I don't get it. Why are you not considering Norman Powell? Like I don't understand the reasoning why he's not getting as much love. I mean, I played him in that Milwaukee game where he got the 44, so he was kind to me, right? Like I'm definitely. It's easy for someone to be like, hey, like why are projections overlooking him? Because I basically said, F you to the projections the other day, and it worked out, right? Now, I'm just confused that they're still not adjusting to him because I think that this role is a really strong role for him, and he's chucking up a ton of shots, and he's not afraid to shoot. And if things are a little difficult defensively, then I think he might be the guy that puts up more shots than you expect. Now, will he be the one that draws Ben Simmons? I don't know because it feels weird like VanVleet and like Simmons, they don't like match up size-wise, right? So I don't think that's how it will be approached. And if Simmons is on Powell, then yeah, that gets me a little more scared. So curious if you have a take on that, how the defensive matchups might go.
I don't really know about the matchups. I don't look into that stuff as much as some people. The reason for Norm, though, is, his price. He's 6.9K. Like, I'd rather go and find the 800 to De'Aaron Fox at 7.7K in a matchup that I like a lot more. It's just the price range. And GPPs is going to be really low owned, so I guess you can do it. But I guess it's what's around them and the safety on like Fox compared to Norm Powell, who's the third option on the team and not as good of a game environment and stuff like that. I can't make a case for it in cash games. That's probably why I'm not a tourney player as much though, because you're starting to turn into a tourney player. I know, thinking that certain way. And I don't know. So you talk about Norm for tournaments. He's definitely not a cash play.
What is his FanDuel price? Because I was like floored by his FanDuel price the other day. And just
he's 6'5", which is better than 6'9" for sure. If you play him FanDuel, he's better at a weak shooting guard position. So yeah, I'll make a case for him. It's back to shooting
guard, right? Not small forwards. Yeah. I know they moved that back and forth, and like it always depends on like what the options are that are there, right, at the shooting guard position. Because you have to play two. They're on every single slate, and like you can make the case like Fred VanVleet is someone, right, that is popping at 8K, and it's like, would you be shocked, Titletown, if Norman Powell outscored Fred VanVleet today? I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, shocked is probably a little overstatement. Probably not shocked, but I would be a little surprised. I like this spot a lot for VanVleet. But yeah,
All right.
Norm has really impressed me. I mean, watching him and stuff, he has impressed me a lot. I don't know. You're definitely more bullish on him.
I'm definitely more bullish on him for sure. But we've talked enough about him, and there's a lot more to talk about in this game. I do want to discuss Aaron Baines a little bit, and then we'll go over to the Philly side. This kind of like matches together while we can, a seamless transition, as they say. Joel Embiid is going to just destroy this Raptors team, right? You can't put Pascal Siakam on Joel Embiid, right? He will body him all day long. So if for some reason the Raptors are going to hang close in this game, it's going to hinge on playing some bigger bodies. And that bigger body might be Aaron Baines. It's not a comfortable roster, but he's very cheap. 3.2K on DraftKings. I wouldn't be playing him on FanDuel, but I think he's in play as a value play. If you don't like some of the other options at like the guard position that are values, head over to him and make that like kind of a different construction. I think that Embiid is another guy. Like, let's say that they do go to the small ball line. They say, we're going to run with you. We're going to try and outpace you. That's not going to go well. Embiid is going to absolutely feast, and he is going to be an amazing turn option that people don't play. So talk to me about the bigs in this game. How would you handle it?
Yeah, so for Baines, like he's a center eligible only, and I like the centers. I like Jokic a lot. I like Allen. I like Brook Lopez for his price. I just can't find myself using a center spot on this slate for him. But everything you said, like if there was a day I was going to play Baines, I mean, today might be the day because as you said, it's the matchup. They're going to need him to be on the floor to match up with Embiid. He's really, really cheap at 3.2K. Value isn't great outside. So it makes sense, but the center position is too valuable for me to do something like that.
Yep, I get it, right? That is one of the things I've been going back and forth on is what's the opportunity cost, right? And there is some opportunity cost at the center position today for sure.
Calvin Cooper just brought up a good point in chat about, Matisse Thybulle is he's a top 5 defender in the league, I think, in my opinion, on-ball defender. This kid's a complete stud. So I don't look at individual matchups too much, but now that going back to it, there's certain guys that I do get scared of. I don't know though who Matisse Thybulle matches up with today because they have. Maybe do they go Van Vliet and put size on them? Do they have them on Norman stuff? That's why I don't look at the stuff as much because I don't know exactly what teams do and they switch so much and all that. But I just wanted to bring that up from Cooper because Matisse Thybulle is a complete stud on the defensive end.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I agree with you. And I will say they play more zone when they play Thybulle, they've said.
Yeah.
So that obviously can like negate some of the stuff we're talking about. I forgot what Rivers said, but he said it just basically has been easier on him and it helps like kind of like get his steals up and get it.
He played a zone in Washington, so he's a lot more comfortable at that. And because they've been short on bodies and stuff, it saves the legs. I haven't looked at do you know the percentage or how often they're in man and zone when he's in? Like, are they all? Yeah, that's something.
I know. He said recently, Doc said like maybe a week ago, like they made the transition to zone. Like the reason they started Thybulle is because they wanted to play a zone that game, right? So I think it's definitely like game to game, and it's like we don't always know how they're going to approach it. I do want to address one thing in chat. Like Richard said, like Baines cannot guard Joel Embiid. Like yes, that is correct. He can't, but like they need someone to, right? Like if he can't, they're not going to put Fred VanVleet on him or Norman Powell or Siakam. Like someone has to cover him. They have to have size. If not, it's just going to be a disaster. And they did that last game. They tried to put Alex Len on him and Alex Len, it didn't work out well for him. And Alex Len isn't there anymore. They need size. They don't have anyone. So that's the reason I mention it. If you want to
nobody can guard Joel Embiid.
Yes. Yes. No one can is correct. That is the answer. Let's talk about the Sixers a little bit. I don't think I need to go to them with Simmons being back. Tobias's price is up. We talked about Embiid a little bit. So besides Embiid, are you playing any of those other guys? Because I think I'm passing on all of them.
No, Seth Curry is the only one I can make a case for on FanDuel because he's 4K at a bad shooting guard position. But that's the last piece. He definitely doesn't get me excited.
Yeah, I think we can pass on that. We can move on and talk about the next game on the slate. Let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New York Knicks. Not the greatest game, right? If you were, deciding to go watch a basketball game courtside seats, you're not picking this one title. This is not the one you're going to, waste that great experience on. No, I don't want to go watch the Knicks and Timberwolves, but DFS wise, there are some plays in this game that we can consider, right? We can consider some more centers, right? Noel, I know Randall is a power forward and Randall's had really nice usage, throughout the season, and he gets a bad Timberwolves team, so he's in play. On the opposite side, I think the only guy I like is, I think Beasley pops, and he's someone you can consider. Like, he has upside at the price still, but I'm not in love with it. I think there's better plays. But Towns at 9.5, I still think that price is too cheap. I think he has a lot of upside if this game stays close. I wouldn't be shocked if in 33, 32 minutes, he did put up 60 fantasy points. We talked about a lot of centers. The question is, do you want to waste it on Towns, who you can make the case the minutes are not there for like that 38-minute game?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, like, I love Towns. I love his price, but the minutes he doesn't have the minute ceiling that I want on a 7-game slate at the center position. So I'd rather go Vooch if I was going to low and play like that. I like Jokic more and all that. Like Anthony Edwards, I'm going to probably talk about it anytime they're on the slate. He's always in play for GPPs just because he doesn't stop shooting the ball. He's like Terrence Ross. Whether he misses the first 10 or makes the first 10, he's going to shoot the 11th if he's open. And that's always something you want in a GPP player. He's going to be low owned. So I always mention him. Nerlens Noel's he's the best play on this site or on this, in this game on both sites. 5,300 on FanDuel, 4,900 on DraftKings. I like him more on FanDuel because he's only power forward eligible. He fits the stocks or how FanDuel scores with the stocks really well. So I like this price for him, a solid game for him. I think he can do well. Julius Randle at 8.8K on FanDuel. I like that price too at power forward. We've seen him in the 9.8 range, 9.6 range. Now he's 8.8. Solid matchup against Minnesota. I think he's a very good play. Malik Beasley, like you said, his price is coming up for sure. So this is where we're comparing Norm Powell and Beasley. What side are you on? Who are you taking?
Norm Powell or Beasley? Man, it's tough. I'm
Beasley.
I think I lean Norm, but I get the case for it. I'm worried about the matchup more than you mentioned Thibault, because I didn't think about him for some reason. I don't know why he didn't come to my head, but Shake Milton is going to be back, so I assume he starts, but it wouldn't shock me if they were like, hey, we want some more defensive guys. We'll throw Thibault in there. So I guess I need that starting lineup to actually make that final decision.
Yeah. All right. So I'd go Beasley, same price range. That's why I asked. I don't have too much interest in this game though, outside of Noel on both sides. If you need Edwards if you want Edwards and GPPs, Julius Randle, you can make a case for him. He's 9.4 on DraftKings too. He's power forward eligible, so he's fine. But I don't have I don't want Derrick Rose on a 7-game slate, even though he's grading out okay. Vanderbilt's 3.8K, so if you need value at power forward, that's fine. There's other value I like a little more. I'd rather find like the 600 for Brook Lopez, who feels a little safer and stuff. Just not a game I have too much outside of Noel and then a couple one-offs.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I got Noel listed as a guy you can consider at center in the cash chart, but I might take him off just because I think I want that flexibility for later on for the guys that we're going to talk about. I'm going to do that actually right now, Titletown.
Better FanDuel play.
Okay, yeah. Is he power forward on FanDuel?
Yeah.
He is, correct? Yeah, exactly. Yep. So that's why that can make some sense. And punting power forward too has been something I've been doing a lot more this year than I think in past years. So definitely think that makes some sense there. I don't got too much else to say on this game. Not the sexiest DFS game, but we got 3 really strong DFS games coming up here. Probably the best of the day. Before we talk about it, Title, we got to have these guys hit that like and hit that subscribe. What do we got? Almost 400 people watch. We got 114 likes. If we're going to give away some swag, Title, we got to get to at least 200, right? We got to do what Big T says. We got to get to that halfway point. I know some people are looking for that 6-figure man. Where is he? He'll be back tomorrow for sure on the show, but you got to get us that 200, right? Right, Titletown?
Yeah, 200 is not very hard to ask. So far, so good, but we got some more people filing in. We only need 80 more likes to get there, give out some gear. It's a nice Sunday slate for the people.
Yep, I think that's a good call there. Let's get those likes, let's get those subscribes, and let's get those people that gear. Big T sent some out today, by the way. If you're looking for the gear, he'll give you the speech tomorrow. Those ones that he was going to ship out, those final larges, I believe he sent out today. So you'll be getting it soon, guys. Let's talk about this next game, though. Lots to talk about here in this one. Nuggets and Hawks. Massive total, right? 233 total. Jamal Murray has been firing. It seems like he is healthier again. I don't know if you knew that, but he had this elbow thing that was bothering him. Seems like he's good. Maybe it's just because he's had to shoot. Not sure. Barton is back though, right? Barton is going to cut into Murray's production a little. He's going to cut into Porter. He could cut into Jokic a little bit, even though Jokic's been phenomenal all season long. How are you handling this Nugget side? Because there's a lot of good plays to talk about.
Yeah, this is by far the best game on the slate and the most interest I have. We'll start with Jokic on both sites. I mean, not much more needs to be said. This guy's a stud. One of my favorite spend ups. He is my favorite spend up on the slate. If you can get him, I like it. Michael Porter Jr., 5,900 on DraftKings, 5,700 on FanDuel. I know some people are going to be salty, a little salt in the mouth from what he did a couple nights ago, but he's a good player. He's in a good role. He chucks up a ton of shots like we talk about. He's kind of safe, and he has a massive ceiling. So I like him for this price too in the mid tier. Will Barton, like you said, 5,200 on DraftKings, 5,200 on FanDuel. Too cheap, and I think he's going to go a little overlooked because he hasn't been back for a little while. That might scare some people, but I like this price, and I love this matchup. As far as Campazzo and Monte Morris, I like Campazzo more on DraftKings where he's 600 cheaper, and I lean Monte Morris on FanDuel where he's 100 cheaper. And that's just, I mean, they're both going to be very good plays coming off the bench, more minutes going around with Dozier out. But I'll take the price decrease any day with Campazzo. I just lean Morris more as a player and his opportunity. I think he gets some more minutes. So that's why I like him on FanDuel more. But I think Campazzo is a good GPP pivot because more people are going to go Morris for sure. He feels safer.
I like that call, by the way. Campazzo actually I put him on the cash chart. I don't know if I'll pull the trigger, but I wouldn't hate it, right? They definitely been giving him more minutes, but and these Nuggets are definitely in an amazing spot, right? It's the Hawks, right? I mean, this team, they're going to go up and down the floor. It's going to be a fun, fast-paced game, and a lot of fantasy points are going to be scored.
Yeah, and Gary Harris is out. PJ Dozier's out. So that's going to there's just more minutes to go around for Morris Campazzo. And they're two good players that Malone feels comfortable with. So I like both of them. I wouldn't play both of them in the same lineup, I don't think, because they kind of eat at each other's production in a way. But yeah, I guess for the price because the value isn't great, you could if you need to, but I don't love it.
Also, shooting guard's terrible today, right? Like shooting guard is like, I got guys listed at all different tiers because I don't feel like I have like this priority shooting guard to plug into my lineup, but I feel like shooting guard hasn't been great for most of the season. And I'm down to get a little more creative there, right? Like, I don't feel like I need to eat the shooting guard chalk, whatever it is. I don't even know what it is because I'm just kind of getting my other guys in that I care about, and then I'm figuring out my shooting guard as I get to it. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm at more FanDuel, the chalk, meaning like Monte Morris and Campazzo are both point guard eligible.
Oh, okay, yes.
But yeah, shooting guard on both sites, like there's nobody that there's no locks. I think that's one of the last spots I'll be filling out my lineup because there's just so many of good plays, nothing stands out. But yeah, I agree with you. Campazzo is cash playable on DraftKings for sure with the price decrease. As far as the Hawks side, Kevin Huerter's only 5-1 on DraftKings. Gallinari's 4-4. John Collins is 6-5, which feels really cheap. Those are the three that I'll focus on. Trae Young's 9-7, but there's just other studs. Like I'd rather go Jokic. I'd even rather go Vooch, who's going to be low 0-2. I just don't see myself spending on Trae in this slate. GPP play as always. Price is fine. Then for FanDuel, Cam Reddish is only 4-5 at shooting guard. We just talked about it. Shooting guard's bad. Cam Reddish is a solid player, good price tag, solid game. So I'm fine with him over there too, but I don't have interest on DraftKings really.
Yeah, Trae Young's a guy, you bring up good points with him. Like I like him today. Like I think he's a good play, but like he's not fitting what I'm doing. And like if someone was like building out their lineup and they love their value and like they just kind of have the opportunity to spend up at their guard, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't be like, you know what, don't play Trae Young. But I didn't put him on the cash chart, so I was like, I just don't think that that's the right construction based on everything I'm looking at. So that's kind of my thoughts on him. And then I'm having trouble getting in Jokic, right? Like, and that's why I think it goes a little under-owned. Do you agree on DK specifically? He does. I think FanDuel, he's going to get a decent amount of ownership, but DraftKings, I think he gets lower owned, correct?
Yeah, he'll be lower on DraftKings. If you want him, you pretty much have to prioritize them, put him in right away, and then build around him that way. You definitely can get him for sure, though, but he's going to be lower owned on DraftKings rather than FanDuel.
All right. I don't know if we got much more to talk about. I guess we'll talk about MPJ. My take on MPJ today is I don't think he's a priority. I think he's a good play. I just don't think he's a guy at 5'9" that like if he got you 28, you don't need him, and you wouldn't be surprised that that was his outcome. And you wouldn't even be saying, "Hey, oh man, at least he got the 28," because he could have had a bad start, right? Missed a bunch of shots. There's a chance he gets pulled by Malone. I think there's a lot of volatility on Porter at that 5.9K price tag, where I'm pausing a little bit more than I think others are around the industry. I think the upside is there, and he's a guy that I'm considering fading in cash title. Like I'm considering not playing him on DraftKings. I'm going back and forth because do I want to fade the guy that could maybe bury me? Or do I take that risk and try to find a better construction? That's kind of one thing I'm working through right now. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so you and I both said it. Like Michael Porter Jr. is very volatile, and he's going to be for a long time until his role switches because he can be at the bench the whole fourth quarter if he does some janky stuff, does some stuff that Malone doesn't like, hurts the team, takes shots that just kill the team, and then Malone benches them. They have good bench players, but he could also get hot, play 35 minutes, and just absolutely break the slate for this price tag. He has 55 point upside every single matchup too. So I agree. He's not a must. But he's either breaking the slate and you don't have him and your night's going to be over, or he's going to probably bust. And then, yeah, you'll be looking like a genius. It's a scary fade when he gets ownership at any time, because he's just one of those guys.
Yeah, no, that's something I'm kind of trying to think through right now. I think that's one of the biggest decisions I'm trying to make on this slate. So that's why I want to bring it up to you. I think FanDuel is a lot tougher, and that's one thing I've hated about FanDuel. They just kind of make guys where it's like I feel like I have to play them, and you have to play two small forwards, right? But still kind of working through the lineup building process over there. I'm definitely a little more behind on FanDuel, I would say, than over on DraftKings. That'll wrap up that one. Guys, again, hit that like, hit that subscribe for us. Helps us out a ton over here at Run Pure Sports. We're at 161. All I got to do is get you to 200, and then we'll give away some swag to the people. We got two more games to discuss. Titletown, let's talk about it. There are two pretty good games, and one that I don't think is getting as much traction as it should, right? 235 total, Nets and the Clippers. It's on ABC. I saw all those quotes from Ty Lue when they played the Nets the last time. He basically said, like, these dudes get up for these kind of games. I'm expecting these guys to get up for this game, and I like Kawhi. I like Paul George. I think they're great tournament plays. I think they're guys that you can even consider in cash. Like, I don't think that they are bad plays at all. I just don't think they're popping necessarily in the models, right? They're not popping in the optimizers. People aren't talking about them because it's like, do you want to deal with two guys that are on that like minutes limit, or weird things can happen when you have other really good studs? That's something I've been working through. I think Kawhi Leonard is my favorite between him and Paul George. How about you?
Yeah, so starting on the Clippers side, I don't have really any interest in cash games because all their prices are up. They're back to full strength. Like, they're just not popping as much, like you said. Kawhi in tournaments, though, I agree. He's probably one of the best tournament plays on this slate. We saw what he did last time against Brooklyn. I agree. We talk about on the Hardwood show with Big T, and I know, like, it sounds like you're on the same page. Not every game in the regular season is the same to all these players. Like, at this national televised game, two of the top teams in the NBA, like, they're going to show up. Their stars are going to play. They're going to get a couple more minutes. We saw that with Kawhi last time out. He just did not pass the ball against his team when he was one-on-one and dominated for it. So I love the call. He's sub 10K. He's going to get low ownerships. I think that's a very, very sharp play in tournaments. As far as cash games, Kyrie's the only one I can make a case for on FanDuel, really, at 8-8. Or Harden at 10-8, you can too, because shooting guard's so weak, I should say. So Kyrie or Harden on both sides are the only guys in cash I can make a case for, but you got to prioritize them and you got to spend up. I prefer Jokic over Harden or Kyrie, but I know the prices for Kyrie and Jokic are different.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. Jokic and Kyrie, I get why you're kind of saying that there, but I think Kyrie gives you a different kind of construction today where you're spending up. Like, something I looked at yesterday, I was like, okay, I could play Bane or I could spend up for Zach LaVine in tournaments, right? And I decided, let me spend up for Zach LaVine. I think I ended up I remember I built that team out and I said, I'm going to go back to it. And that was my plan. I had Bane at the stupid forward position. I was planning on getting off him. So, like, it's like what I was trying to do, like, worked, but it didn't work because I still got stuck with Bane. But I just didn't go back to look at that because I was all worried about the news and trying to adjust everything. But that was kind of my thought process. And I kind of have a similar thought process on that today. Like, in the next game, Dante DiVincenzo, like, he's fine, but, like, is DiVincenzo going to go for 40 and break the slate? I don't know. Probably not. Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't need Dante DiVincenzo. I think he's a good play. I think if he could easily be in the winning lineup, getting 30 fantasy points too. He could be in the winning lineup, getting 25 fantasy points. Like, it just would not shock me. So that's something I've looked at. Shooting guard is definitely a spot that I've really, like, worked on, like, looking at leverage plays and stuff. Cause I just think shooting guard has been kind of gross this season. But yeah, I think that Harden's in play in cash. I think Irving's in play in cash. We know the upside that they can have. I'm not really worried about, the matchup against Kawhi. It's like, these are dudes who are matchup proof, right? Like, I'm not going to worry about that, but I will maybe lean to a guy like Giannis, who's in a better spot. If you're saying, hey, Giannis or Harden, I would take Giannis over him based on today and how that's all kind of playing out. Frank M has an interesting question. Can you play Harden and Kyrie in the same lineup? I would say you can, I don't know how this would work, and I haven't built a team out title, but like if I'm playing those guys together, I think I'd want to try and jam in one of Kawhi or George. You obviously can't get all of them, right? But I think I would want to try and get in one of them, and that would instantly make you unique because you're not playing Giannis, you're not playing Jokic, like you're not playing all these great players, and that's just giving you a completely different construction. And if I think Harden and Kyrie pay off their salary, I think you need to have one of George or Kawhi, and they go pretty nuclear.
Yeah, so I responded to him in chat saying, yeah, you can play those two together just because like Durant's out, so much of the usage and offense flows through them. One of them's always going to be on the court at one time. I mean, they're going to share the court, but their rotations, they stagger them out a lot. So one of them is going to get most of the usage all game. The prices are fine. So you definitely can. I agree. I would want to run back, but I mean, that's really hard. Like if you plug in Harden, Kawhi, and Kyrie, I don't have it off the top of my head, but you're definitely dumpster diving for the rest of your spots. You want to run back, but if you just love Kyrie and Harden so much and position eligibility and all that stuff, you can get away, I think, on this slate, not three-man or not running it back just because it makes it so hard with not too much good value on the slate. I agree with you, though. Like the thought process, if they're going off, someone's on the Clippers is going off too, and you want to stack it. I don't think you can on this slate.
Well, I just plugged in all three, right? So, well, actually, I put Giannis because I was like, oh, maybe I could change it to Giannis because this is something I might look at doing. So like you get 4.2K for your power forward, your center, your guard, your forward, and your utility. Like I think that's very viable to do, and it's just going to be unique. So I don't know. I'm definitely looking at like, trying to get maybe one of Kyrie or Harden with Kawhi, and then like pair it with Giannis, right? Like I think that's like a really strong team that's like gonna be decently unique. I don't know. I don't think people are going to do that.
That's where you could go to your Baines that you like, and then you're just paying down at center, just complete punting it. That's the way if you want to do it. That's how you do it.
Look at that. I don't have core plays. Well, I have core plays for cash, but I don't have a tournament core play. But you're looking at them, I guess, right now. At least that's what I'm considering. I'm definitely one to be like, let me take care of my cash lineup at 7, and then like I'll backload a little bit in tournaments, and I'll figure it out later. So because I value the time to be able to pull that off later on, not doing two things at once. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking at doing. And those games are later, so maybe that's what I'll end up doing there. Title. Anything else you want to mention? Like any fringe players? Like I think those Clippers prices have gone up a little too much where I don't want to touch them. And then same on the net side. Like I'm not interested in too many guys over there. I know like the pace is good, but I just think there's better values where we don't have to, take shots on these guys. I know that Tyler Johnson is missing, but I don't want to play Nets roulette with TLC and Bruce Brown. It just doesn't feel like I need to today.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much just Harden, Kyrie, and then Kawhi is my favorite tourney play on the Clippers side. Other than that, prices are good.
All right.
I see someone in chat, Tony Hot Dog Bacon, said he just give him a quick rundown about the membership and what you get for it. Okay. He was asking about it. Just a quick breakdown because right. I know most.
So real quick, Tony Hot Dog Bacon. Is that Big T's burner account? I mean, come on, like Big T definitely loves to eat, some good food. Hot dogs and bacon are good, man. So I wouldn't be surprised that Big T on the burner. But Tony, I will let you know what we got over here at Run Pure Sports. So it's $80 a month, but if you use the code WORKBENCH21, you get 25% off the first payment, and you're getting it for a month, right? You're getting every single sport. You're not getting nickel and dimed on, for this NASCAR package, you need this, you need that. We do offer an optimizer, but that is an add-on, right? But you're going to get the core plays from everyone on all different sports. You'll get a playbook. That's everything for every sport. We have that. And then some other sports, we have a little additional stuff, right? We have the team matchup charts. We got the Discord chat for every single sport. Not only that, we have the Discord for Monkey Knife Fight and for Prize Picks. And, we give out plays over there. I know you give out some plays where that you can play on those sites and win some money where we help you out there. Tons of stuff. We got all different pieces of content. Golf, like we have a golf show. That one's free. We have a Up the Lock show for NBA almost every single day. That is a premium show. Tons of awesome stuff. Title. I mean, your MMA content. Anything else I'm missing there, Title?
Yeah, no, it's core plays, playbooks, the Up to Lock premium show with JSU. And the biggest thing I always talk about, my favorite part of RPS is Discord, and it's 100% because it's just such a good community we have built, not only for DFS, but people are talking about it from the second they wake up to 3 a.m. after the slates, talking about random stuff. Like whether you want to talk sports, just talk any sport. People are talking all the time. questions are flying in. People are answering them. BigT, Phallic, JSU, everyone's always in Discord. So that's my favorite part of it all. But the core plays, the playbooks, everything else, the premium shows, you get it all under one payment, like you said. All the sports, one payment. Check it out. Workbench 21. You get a discount. Otherwise, we appreciate everyone watching these free shows too and hitting the like button. It's fun in chat.
Yeah, and one last thing I'll mention, you get the add-on of the bet site you can get for only like $20 extra, where you get all the betting content over at Run Pure Bets. So you can check that out. And like you brought up great points about the Discord chat title. Like one thing I'm just trying to think back to like when I started in 2016, like how did I get started? How do I dive in? Like I was in a bunch of chat rooms, right? I was like, I found some people that, you know, like DFS, and I talked with them on like G chat, right? Like just literally messaging back and forth. Like that's where I kind of started doing that in like 2014, 2015. And like doing that is like, you know, it's just a super, super valuable tool. And when you kind of immerse yourself in it, like I'm someone that I say, like when you really dive in, like you just get better and better and you improve. I do think we set you up really well to be that guy that, like, you know, shows up and, you know, right before lock and kind of puts in some teams, sweats it out and has a good time. But I'm always in the camp of like, if you just dive into something, you're just going to get better in general. And I think in the Discord, you can do that, right? You can find other members to talk to and have conversations. I have conversations with members too. Like one guy I've been talking with is Hector a little bit, you know, we game a little bit too. Like, so it's a fun community. There's awesome stuff going on. We're posting gifts. We're sweating the fights, going SO. It's a fun time. So check it all out. But yeah, that'll wrap up that. Let's talk about the final game here, Titletown. We got your Milwaukee Bucks, which I will let you talk a ton about, and the Sacramento Kings. Massive total, the game of the night, last game of the slate. We got Whiteside. How are we handling him with the Bagley news and the Holmes news? DJ Augustine has clearly been a good addition to that, new starting lineup role. I think he's a really good value. Middleton's another good one. Giannis. Fox is too cheap in a spot where it's a pace up, but can we trust Luke Walton? There's so many questions and so much to talk about. Break it down for me.
Well, there's so many good plays in this game with the total, the prices, and all that. I'll start off with the Bucks side, and I'll list who's in play, and then I'll rank them. So, like Giannis on both sides. I think Giannis is going to be the most popular spend up on DraftKings. That's why I'm talking about like Mangone's saying Jokic isn't going to be as expensive and stuff, because it's hard to play Giannis and Jokic together. I like Giannis in cash games. I like Jokic in cash games if you can fit them both too. I like Jokic as the pivot off in tournaments just because of ownership, and we both know the ceiling on both of them. It's backloading this game makes a lot of sense, like you said, with the news we're kind of waiting on. But DJ Augustine, Brooke Lopez, Giannis, DiVincenzo, Pat Connaughton, Middleton, Bobby Portis, they're all in play on this slate for sure. I'd rank them Giannis 1. Brooke Lopez, I'd rank him 2. He's 4.3K at the center position. No one's going to be able to guard him down low, I don't think. It stands out like it's not a sexy play at all or any of that, but 4.3K gets you a lot of stuff. I know it's a center spot. I'm probably more bullish on him than other people, but I like Brooke a lot. DJ Augustine's only 3.8K. He has a good roll off the bench. That's too cheap on a slate that lacks a lot of value. DiVincenzo's 5.1K. He's 5.2K on FanDuel. Shooting guard position isn't great, so I like him there. Connaughton, 4.1K makes sense too. All the Bucks, they're price affordable. Middleton, he's better on FanDuel where he's only 7.2K. Small forward position. I know people lately have been watching game log or watching the games, and he just hasn't really been performing. But last game he showed he had 35 or 36 or something. Minutes were back up a little bit. 7.2K is just too cheap for someone as talented as Middleton, so I'm buying in there. All the Bucks, they're really in good spots today. Better plays on DraftKings, I think, than FanDuel. The guys on FanDuel, Middleton's the only one that stands out as the better play. As far as the Kings side, I love De'Aaron Fox today as a run back. 7.7K on DraftKings, 7.8 on FanDuel. That seems too cheap in this game environment that I love targeting. The Bucks haven't been impressive on defense at all. Fox has looked really good. I love the price. Halliburton's only 5.4K on FanDuel at the shooting guard position we talk about. I always love playing him. He's always a better play on FanDuel too with his steal and block upside. He has really long arms, great price. You have to play two shooting guards. Hassan Whiteside, like you said, 4.9K on DraftKings. Don't have interest on FanDuel because there's only one center, but he has so much upside. Whiteside does, as we've seen in the past. We've been on him for like a week straight at RPS. Ownership now coming up, but I like that play as well. just so many good plays in this game. Fox and Whiteside are my favorite on Sacramento. Probably won't have too much after that, except Halliburton on FanDuel, and then a lot of Bucks. Like I'll have a lot of Bucks, I think.
Yeah, for good reason. All those Bucks are interesting. I think so. The one issue I have is like I like Fox. I like Giannis. Like, but the only issue in tournaments I think about is like that combo is going to be high owned. Like, so I've been trying to go back and forth on like how do I make it different if I do that? And I think if I throw Middleton in there, it might, because those are like three pricey guys all together, and then it forces you not to be able to get one of those extra studs in there, I think. So that's something I've been kind of dabbling with the idea of, and I'm not sure. Maybe that is wrong. I still have to kind of finalize that decision point. But that's something that might not make me play one of that Clippers kind of stack. But I think I'm either doing a Kings-Bucks game stack in a way with the Stars or a Clippers-Nets. I think that's kind of what I'm going back and forth on. Trying to figure that out, and I'll obviously tinker that and get it all finalized after lock for my main tournament team. But cash games, I'll be all over this, right? I'll be on Giannis. FanDuel specifically, I think it's a great Middleton bounce back spot. I thought that Middleton has been, struggled against the Raptors because of the way that they play against them, right? They want to make sure that they force the ball out of his hands, and they definitely made sure it was out of his hands for sure. Augustine, too cheap, definitely considering him. DiVincenzo, I talked about him before. He's fine. Like, I don't mind him if I fall on him. He's a fine last piece, not a priority. And then I'm with you on Fox. I also think that, hey, Mr. Hassan Whiteside could be a massive, massive play today. I'm going back and forth on how much do I want to risk that. Obviously, I have Brook Lopez as a pivot that I can go to, but if you plug in all these different guys, and then you end up having to land on Whiteside and you like him, but then let's say Holmes plays, and if Holmes plays, that could be a disaster. And let's say Holmes doesn't play, Whiteside could still not get there. You know why he could not get there? They could be pulling him from the rim too much, and if Brook Lopez and Whiteside are matched on each other, that's not going to be as ideal, because he's not going to be near the hoop to get those rebounds as much, right? Unless he doesn't care, doesn't want to play defense. But if he doesn't play defense, then that plus minus goes down for Hassan Whiteside. If all those threes are going in, then he's pulled off the court and doesn't play anymore. So I think there are paths to failure for Whiteside here that I do have some concerns on, but I'm definitely considering him in cash games and trying to think through how I want to handle it. I'm definitely backloading some of my lineups Titletown to figure that out. And I'm making sure I have contingency plans to get off of Whiteside. Would you agree that that's something you'd want to do in tournaments?
Yeah, so backloading makes so much sense today because, the Bucks is the best game on the slate with a massive total. And then the Jokic or the Denver-Atlanta game's one of the best games too, but at least that's 30 minutes after the lock game. So you have a little more time to work things out, but I definitely like the idea of backloading. I think it'll be pretty popular to do that. Get a couple pieces in the earlier games, but I'm with you for sure. And I know you're really high on the Clippers Nets game, which is going to go lower owned going to go lower owned in general. Kawhi is going to be low owned. Harden and Irving are the only ones that's going to have some sort of ownership. So you can backload for sure. And I'm warming up to what you're saying about the Nets Clippers game stack, but it's just so hard to find other pieces outside of those stars to fill it in, because so much ownership is going to be concentrated on this Bucks game and the Nuggets game. Are you?
Yeah, for good reason, right? I'm here. Sorry, the internet lagged for a second, but I'm back. You're good. But some people are talking in the chat. Derek said Middleton has been trash recently. Listen, I'm telling you, Middleton is fine. The two matchups against the Raptors were a bad matchup. That's exactly what they were doing. Exactly. So I'm definitely in the camp of that. Middleton is still a good play. I think he's an awesome option. And then there was another message I want to see in the chat. Yeah, Denver Atlanta stack is obviously in play. Those last three games are what I really want to key in on the most. I think it's a good night to backload, because I think these games are great. And we kind of talked about it a little bit. There's the Denver game in Atlanta, which you can go to, which is awesome as well. There was one more thing I wanted to see in the chat that people were discussing.
When you're looking, I'll talk about the Middleton. Nick Nurse took him out of the game. He face guarded Middleton and just they ran him around and face guarded him throughout the whole game. Didn't let him get any easy looks. That was a tough spot. So, and then just watching Middleton, he's been so good for so many years. Just the last couple of years, he's been insane. It's been a 4 or 5 game short sample size recently. He looks fine to me. I'm buying in on the talent, buying in on the price dip. He's still Chris Middleton, so I'm not worried. But yeah, he hasn't been great. If you're a game log watcher, you're not playing Chris Middleton, but I'll take him at lower ownership because of that.
Yep, agreed. Titletown, you got your play of the night, and then we'll answer a couple questions. Do you have one ready to go?
Yeah, I actually do have one ready to go, but I mean, I got to give you some of the credit. Kawhi Leonard stands out as my favorite play of the slate. I'm like Big T, where we come on, like I do some research before and stuff, but I really like fully diving into the slate while we talk it all out and the ownership and all that. And Kawhi Leonard's going to go criminally underowned in this really good game environment, and he's under 10K too. So I think you made up a really sharp point. It's not a game stack because I don't love the prices around it, even though it's a good game environment. But Kawhi Leonard is my favorite. He's the SO play of the day.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of stole mine, so we'll do it together, right? We'll join in together. It's okay. I'm fine with it. I just think it goes on their own, and I mean, I honestly can make the case like if you're building your team out, right? And it's not just Kawhi. It's like if you fall on Paul George instead, and like that works, like I'd be okay with that. I don't know which one's going to do well. I don't think that this guy's going to do better, and like I have the firm conviction on it. Like I just think that's like the best construction to be different. So if you for some reason did fall on Paul George, I wouldn't fault you for it. But I think Kawhi's the main guy, right? Like that's the one I like the most. And I think based on construction, I talked about not liking Michael Porter Jr. I also don't love shooting guard, but I think it's a good up pivot from that. My only fear is at that small forward position. I do like Chris Middleton a little bit, but that's kind of my reasoning behind it.
I'm plugging in tournaments. Like I'm going to make a case. It's Kawhi over Paul George. This guy is, I mean, everyone knows how good this guy is. And he's under 10K in a game that you expect him to show up. Like, I'm glad you brought it up because the projections aren't on him as much. The game's getting overlooked. You can even backload with it just in case like the other Kings news hits and you just need to make a couple other pivots. Worse, I mean, if you get off Kawhi and because it gets you something better that you like more, I mean, you still had him and you had positional or you had roster flexibility because you had him in your lineup. So I think he makes so much sense. I love it.
All right, so we got some questions. People said, anybody liking Windler tonight? What was your take on him, Titletown?
Yeah, so AP liked Windler. Falik likes Windler, I know. I didn't love Windler as much, but the value isn't great on the slate. So it's going to get a little more uncomfortable for some of those last piece value guys. I like DJ Augustine a little more, Pat Connaughton a little more, not Aaron Baines because of the position eligibility. Dennis Smith Jr. obviously is going to be high owned. So I like some of the other value a little more, but I know a lot of really sharp people that do like Windler. So I'm not going to say no. And you liked Windler a little bit, it sounded like.
Yeah, I'm still, I don't know what to do with him, but I considered him like a couple slates before. So that's why I'm like, definitely keeping an eye on like how the Cavs are kind of using him. Cause I think he's a guy that his price hasn't adjusted yet. Let's see. So Jokic, it says Jokic and Embiid, just a lower GPP play. Yeah, I think that makes sense if you want to go that route. If I do play Embiid, I probably do want to run like a Raptor back because I think like if he goes for that monster game, he can obviously do it in blowout fashion, but I think you'd want to have it maybe one of the Raptors ran back, but it's tough because it's a really good slate. Couple more questions and then we'll get on.
15 more likes if people can get them in the next. I mean, we're answering a couple questions. We'll stall out a little bit. 15 more likes. We'll pick someone for gear.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Let's do the 15 and then we'll get on out of here. Let's get it there. Don't hold us here though, right? We'll try and do I'm put it to 3 questions settled down. So 3 questions. Good. If we don't get there by then, no gear. There was a Randall question I wanted to get to because I do think Randall isn't a bad play today. My problem with him is do I want him for the stud? So do you think Randall is a good play if you want to fade Giannis for GBP? So I understand what you're doing. My opinion on it is I would rather go up at another position than the forward position because they play the same position.
Is he talking FanDuel though?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question. Because I'm not sure.
So if it's FanDuel, because I saw that question earlier too. If it's FanDuel, I like the pivot from a chalkier Giannis down to Randall because you're saving a good amount of salary. It's like 2,000 or something salary. It makes your roster construction just different doing that. And 8.8K for Randall, like you asked me earlier, would I be shocked if someone outscored or if Norm outscored Van Vliet? That's kind of like, would I be shocked if Randall outscored Giannis? Like, I'd be surprised, but Randall has monster ceiling. He plays monster minutes for way cheaper. So I like the pivot on FanDuel. You can talk more about it on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think that I would rather go up at a different position and not spend up for him, right? Like, I don't want to spend up at my power forward then because I think going to Randall doesn't make as much sense. I'd rather go to a cheaper guy that I think closes the gap between Giannis. Like, let's say Giannis does go for 60 or maybe not 60, let's say like 58, right? Or 57, 55, right? Which is still a good game, but like it's not a necessity. But you get like a Robert Covington yesterday who was at 6.2K and got 40 fantasy points. Well, you probably want that. And then you can go up at another spot from like an MPJ to a Kawhi, right? That's kind of the reasoning behind why I would want to fade him. I'd rather try and find a cheaper guy, power forward, maybe in the mid tier or down low that has the upside to close the gap enough where I'm getting a huge upgrade in another spot that just blows that other play out of the water. That is a high owned play. That's kind of how I think I would approach it. Josh Jackson as a pivot off of MPJ. I don't love it. What about you, Title? I'd rather just spend up, I think.
Yeah, I don't like Josh Jackson. He's too expensive for me.
Yep. Someone says Buddy goes nuts tonight. Does Buddy Hield go nuts tonight, Title?
Hey, I mean, Buddy has those games where he chucks, and then he has those games where he doesn't miss and he keeps chucking. So he's another high ceiling play, kind of like Anthony Edwards, but I won't have too much Buddy on a 7-game slate, but I don't hate it.
All right, Title. Well, we got it home. I'm going to let you be the person to pick someone in the chat. So do the scroll. I'll stall for you a little bit.
No, I found someone already. I trusted the people. They got us. They responded nicely and got us up to the likes. So I love it. The person that I picked is Casta 26. He said, waiting on core plays. Let's go. Casta 26. I love the comment. Hit up BigT on Twitter, BigT in Discord, or what's the gig?
Yeah. Hit up info@RunPure Sports. Find a way to get a hold of us and we'll make sure it gets over there. But we got to go. I got to wrap up the cash chart. We got to wrap up your core plays, mine, everything. So we're going to go do that. Thanks a lot for joining us here. For me, Mangone and Titletown. See you guys later.
Good luck.